but a tremendous abuser. Remember this, no other president did nothing to China. They would walk away with $509 billion a year. It was just a terrible. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in taxes and tariffs from China. We will once again live by the maxim of the Trump administration, buy American and hire American. And to protect South Carolina workers, I will pass the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act. You know what that is, right? If China or any other country makes us pay a tariff of, let's say, 100 or 200 or even 300%, and they do that, we will make them pay a reciprocal, identical tariff of 100 or 200 or 300% right back. It's called you screw us and we screw you. Very simple. As tariffs on foreign countries go up, taxes on American workers and families will come down very substantially. You know, last night I was making a speech in a very nice area. I was going, and we were in Tennessee, and a man came up to me. He owned a big metal company, collects metal and manufactures metal. And he had tears in his eyes, strong guy. You could see he's lifted plenty of steel. But he came up to me and he said, "Sir, I just want to thank you. You saved my life. You saved my company. My company was ready to die in 2016, and then you put up those tariffs on China steel. They were dumping steel all over the place. I was dying. All the steel companies were dying." Wow. She must be in the steel business. But he said what you did was so incredible. And I saw him in the audience when I was speaking. That was before. And I said, "Would you want to come up here?" He said, "Yeah." And he got up and he was in tears. He said, "What you did with the tariffs, I put a 25 and a 50% tariff on steel coming in, and it totally saved his company, saved the industry, and a lot of other things. A lot of very good things happened because they want to put you out of business, and then they want to have a monopoly on steel and lots of other things." It's no wonder Joe Biden and his thugs are so desperate to stop us. They know that we are the only ones who can stop them, and they know that. That's why they are weaponizing law enforcement for high-level election interference. That's what they're doing right now. It's all, look at Fani, F-A-N-I. It should be pronounced Fanny. Fanny. Fani. Fani. They say she gets very upset if you call her Fanny, F-A-N-I. She fell in love with the person that, long before this started, he got paid almost $1 million. He never did it before. They love to talk about disinformation and democracy. They talk about disinformation. They talk about threat to democracy. But they're the threat to democracy. They use the DOJ, the FBI, our election systems. They rig our elections and attack free speech. Isn't it amazing? All the people that go and get investigated, all of them, they don't go after the people that rigged the election. They go after the people that want to find out who it was that rigged the election. It should be the opposite way, and we're not going to put up with it. Joe Biden and the fascists that control him are really the true threat to democracy. Those are the threat to democracy. All of this persecution is only happening because I am running for president and leading very substantially in the polls. Now, if I wasn't running, again, cases coming out of nowhere, all run by DOJ, the White House, even a DA case, local DA case, they put the DOJ top people into the local DA's office in Manhattan on a case that's absolutely, in fact, every critic and every legal scholar said, it's not a case. There's no case here. But they put DOJ people in there. It's weaponization. And, you know, at least I have a voice. I can speak about it. And the poll numbers go up because when people hear about it, they say, wow, never been done in this country like that before. But if they hit a congressman or if they hit even a senator where you don't have that voice, where you can stand up and discuss it with millions and millions of people, they will leave office. They will go back home to their family. They'll make a speech that I will fight for my name. I will fight for my name. I will go home to my family. And you never hear from the person again. It's never been where you get hit with something like this and you go up in the polls. Usually when you get hit, if a regular, good, strong, wonderful politician got hit with a federal subpoena or a state subpoena or any of these subpoenas, it doesn't matter whether they're innocent or guilty. They have to resign from office in disgrace. They have to. With me, I got hit and my numbers went up. I am sort of freaky. It's freaky. And I don't mean went up. I mean went up a lot. Because people get it. They see it's a scam. It's only been done in third world countries and banana republics. It's never taken place here. Never like this. But it's okay. I have so many lawyers. Lawyers are my best friend. And you know what I do? I campaign in the day when I can, and when I can't, I campaign at night. I go to courtrooms, and we're doing very well. We're doing very well. It's all a big scam. It's a big, fat scam. In the latest morning console poll, we're at 81% in the Republican primary, and we're dominating Crooked Joe in the general election. We have a poll where we're at 91 for me, 7 for Nikki. I guess you have a couple of points undecided. Who are the people that are undecided? We have one of the biggest and largest margins ever. You know, it's tough. A Republican has a tougher path, actually, because the Democrats, like a friend of mine called up, they said, I see you're up 11 points, Washington Post, 11 points on Joe Biden. He's not a political person, but he's a very smart person, made a lot of money, very successful. He said, how come you're only up 11 points? You should be up like 40 or 50 points. The guy can't put 2 sentences together. He can't walk off a stage. He can't find the stairs. They're all over the place. He can't find stairs. So this guy, being a novice, said, how come it is? Why is it that you're only up 11, sir? I said, you know what? You don't know much about politics. We'll take it. In fact, our lead against Biden is the largest that we've ever had. It's 6 and 7 and 9, 10, 11, and we have won at 14 points. That's a lot. The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election in 2020. They rigged the presidential election, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election of 2024. Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it actually a great badge of honor. That's a little different thinking up there, isn't it? But it is what it is. I'm being indicted for you. That's what's happened. Never forget, our enemies want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. I will never let it happen. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me. They're after you. I just happen to be standing in their way. Thank you. It's true. So we're delighted to be joined by some incredible people and people I talk about all the time, so I don't have to go through a big deal here because it's your favorite governor, Henry McMaster, and First Lady Peggy McMaster. And Tim Scott, I want to thank you, Tim. I love Tim. We know that. Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evett. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you. And we have a lot of members in Congress and from Congress here. Some are in the audience, and I'm a little bit, I'm going to get in trouble because I won't be able, I don't know where the hell they are. But I do know some of them. One is Mike Collins. Mike, wherever you may be, thank you very much. Thanks, Mike. Great job you're doing. A superstar with a tremendous future, Byron Donalds. Where's Byron? Fantastic guy. A man that I sort of recruited. I'm very proud of him because thank you. They like that guy. Thank you very much. Thank you. You ever see crowds like this? Is this the greatest? A man that I sort of recruited, a particular congressman voted to impeach me. They're all just about gone now, just about over. They're gone. Whatever happened to Liz Cheney? Where is she? Boy, was that Trump derangement? That committee was a rigged deal, but did you ever see anybody like her? She had a massive case of Trump derangement syndrome, didn't she? But a man, he voted to impeach me, and, you know, when people vote to impeach, that's sort of the ultimate. You can vote every once in a while against education, you can vote against something, you can vote against tax hikes or tax cuts, you can do it. But when they vote to impeach you, there's nothing you can ever do to recover from that. We're never going to be with them. And this guy, out of the blue, in an area that was plus 28, Trump plus 28, he brilliantly, would he like to have that vote back? He brilliantly said, no, I vote to impeach Trump for nothing, for a perfect phone call. Perfect phone call. He made a call. It has turned out to be a perfect call. You know that. Everybody now says, oh, we should have never done it. Anyway, so I said, who's somebody good to run against them? And they said, well, there's a really popular guy in town who's in politics and doing really well. He's a leader. His name is Russell Fry. I said, ah. And I called him up, and I said, I heard you're doing well. Yes, sir, I am. How would you like to run for Congress? I gave him about a 1 minute. How long did that interview last? About 20 seconds on the phone. I said, well, I hear you're great. Why don't you run? And then he had to go and prove his stuff, right? And he really proved himself, and I just appreciate it. Russell, you've been incredible, doing a great job. He wiped that guy out. He actually, at the time, won by the biggest margin in the history of Congress. There's never been somebody that lost so big, because usually if somebody's going to lose that big, a sitting congressperson, they usually drop out before the election. He didn't drop out, only to be surpassed by Liz Cheney. She lost by the biggest. Liz Cheney lost by the biggest margin, so you only had that title for about 11 months, right? You've done a great job. Thank you very much. A woman who is extremely shy, but a woman who stands up, and I will tell you, she's a fighter. I know about that. She's a fighter. And when you get her on your side, you're both lucky and smart. And she really has. She's been a real good fighter for us, and she's somebody who's done a very good job. And I'm very honored that she's here, and she's been to a couple of our rallies. And she does. When she sets her sight on something, she's tough. And that's what we want, Nancy Mace. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you. Great job. Now, a really shy person, a person that, I mean, honestly, she's a good person. She's been with me for so long. She's been with me in good times, in bad times. If times are bad, she'll call me up and say, don't worry about it, sir, you're doing great. And if times are good, she'll call me up twice. But she's a fantastic person. She's a very smart person and very respected in Congress. A lot of people don't know how respected she is. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie, thank you. That's pretty good, huh? That's good. Great person. Another warrior that's with you and very successful, William Timmons. Thank you, William. Been great. And a man who became famous one night during his State of the Union, when he stood up, he said, you lie. You remember? I'm sure nobody remembers that, but I do. He is one of the most incredible people. for a lot of reasons, including the fact that Alan Wilson is his son. Alan Wilson, stand up, and Joe Wilson, stand up. Thank you. Look at that. Look how they get along. Look how, two great people. Thank you both. Thank you. It's a great family. State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Curtis, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And somebody that's done an incredible job in North Carolina with all the theft and all the cheating and everything else. In Pennsylvania, I was leading by so many. It was over 73% of the vote. And all of a sudden, there was this big dump. Where did it come from? And they said, oh, you're no longer leading, you're tied. And then it went on, and it was disgraceful what happened. And likewise, other states. But in North Carolina, that lead never wavered. It just kept going on and on and on. I said, why isn't it happening in North Carolina? Oh, that's right, you have a lot of friends here from North Carolina. Why isn't it happening? And it didn't happen because of his leadership. He was the head of the North Carolina Republican Party, and he's going to be the head of the Republican Party of our whole beautiful, incredible country. He was tough, he was smart, he was strong, he was respected. He understands voter fraud probably better than anybody. Michael Whatley, North Carolina. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Great job. I said to Michael, I said, we don't need any votes. All we have to do is guard the vote. You know what guard the vote means. And I don't mean vote early, vote late. I don't mean vote on Tuesday or vote 2 weeks. That's all fine. I mean, we don't want ballots being dropped that are fake. We call them counterfeit ballots. That's what we don't want. And he'll stop it. Thank you very much, Michael. He's the best guy there is. Very important. That's an important guy. It is true. I told him, don't worry about the votes. We got all the votes. We got so many votes. We have millions more votes than the other side. It's not even close. Just watch that they don't drop ballots. From the very first day that we take back the White House from crooked Joe Biden, I believe we are going to have the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. In our first term, we appointed over 300 federal judges, a record, and 3 great Supreme Court justices. Our incredible veterans, what we did for the veterans was, you know, we had a 92% approval rating for the vets. Now they're down into the 40s again. They were in the 40s for years. 92 because we passed 2 things, the VA Accountability Act and VA Choice. Accountability. We fired 9,000 sadists, thieves, crooks, wise guys. They hated our veterans. They would beat up our veterans in not prime time. They could never have done it in prime time. But they were sadists. We had 9,000 people, and because of the civil service laws, you couldn't even think about firing them. We had somebody in one of our places that got caught stealing $400,000. Court called, you couldn't fire them, they were protected. We got that done. They've been trying to do it for 52 years, and we got it done. We fired 9,000 people and replaced them with people that love our vets. Right? And the other is choice. We were having people stand online sometimes for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. You know, we have great doctors in the VA, but a lot of administration problems they had. And people were going online, not very sick, and by the time they saw a doctor, they became terminally ill. Literally, things that could have been fixed, they became terminally ill. And we did a choice, which they've been trying to do for 52, 53 years. They couldn't get it passed in Congress, and I got it passed in Congress, VA Choice, where if you have to wait more than 24 hours, you go to private doctors in the community. We pay the bill, you get better, and we actually, I mean, I didn't do it for this reason, but we actually saved a lot of money, but we saved a lot of lives, a lot of lives. Saved a lot of lives. We fully rebuilt the U.S. military and created Space Force, which was a big deal. When I did that, remember, people were smiling. Russia and China were killing us in space, and now we're by far the leader in space. That was a big deal. Hadn't been done in 78 years. Last one was Air Force. 78 years. It was a great achievement. And I was the first president in decades who started no new wars. Instead, I brought back our troops. We knocked out ISIS, and we brought back our troops. You do remember, though, we defeated ISIS. We defeated ISIS. I say, let's get home. It's time to bring them home. Hillary Clinton used to say in the debates, look at him, that personality. Look at that personality. He's going to get us into a war. No, my personality kept us out of wars. You would have never had Russia go in. You would have never had the problem that you just had, the horrible problem where Israel, October 7, where Israel was so horribly attacked. These things wouldn't have happened because they respected me, but they respected our country. Now they laugh at our president. They laugh at him. The guy can't talk. The guy can't walk. Remember when he said, I'd like to take him behind the barn? And the fake news, see the fake news? Oh, look at all those guys. The fake news said, I want to take him behind. Remember that? He said, I want to take him behind the barn. I'm going to take him. And the fake news said, isn't that nice? Oh, that's so cute. That's so cute. He wants to take him behind the barn. In other words, wants to take me behind the barn and go. And the fake news is saying it's wonderful. Then when I said, let him take me behind the barn, hit him so, they said, oh, that's terrible. He's a fascist. Trump is a fascist. No, if we were ever behind a barn, I would look at him and I'd go like this. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office shortly after we, not me, we win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. I will get it settled. People dying by the thousands. Horrible thing. Under the Trump administration, we will return to peace through strength. That's what we had. They respected us all over the world. 3 years ago, we had the most secure border in U.S. history. We ended catch and release, built 571 miles of border wall, and got Mexico to send 28,000 soldiers to our border free of charge. You think that was easy to get Mexico to give us 28,000 soldiers free? Free. I got them to give a lot. There was no mechanism. Remember, I used to say we'll get Mexico to pay for a big portion of the wall. Well, this cost them more money than the wall. And it wasn't easy, but I said, if you don't do it, we're going to put tariffs on all your cars. We're going to do numbers on you like you wouldn't believe. Sir, we would love to send you 28,000 free soldiers. Under Biden, we now have the worst border in the history of the world. No one has been hurt by this invasion more than our black and Hispanic populations, and also, it's true. No, they're taking your jobs, they're taking your slots on education. Black and Hispanic populations have been hurt more by this travesty where millions of people, the number is really going to be 18 million people by the time this guy gets out of office. And you know who else is being hurt very badly? The unions. The unions are being hurt very badly because you have unions that have justifiably, over the years and years, people have worked there and they're earning good wages, sometimes very high wages. People aren't going to be paying 3, 4, 5 times when they can have this. Unions are going to be put out of business. So I don't know how a union can support a guy like Joe Biden. You can't support him. First of all, I don't even think he knows that people are coming in. You want to know the truth? The other day he said, we're thinking about doing something about strengthening up our border. It's about time. We got like 14 million people have come in. But no, I think that's all baked in the cake. That's all baked in. It's not they're actually, they are good, I have to say. They're trying to say, it's the Republicans' fault. You know what they do? Over and over. It's the Republicans' fault. I saw it the other day, first time. Like Russia. I don't know anything about Russia, other than I charged them for Nord Stream 2, and I stopped their pipeline. The biggest thing they ever had. And then they say, Trump loves Russia. Putin said to me, if you're really, I mean, they say that, I'd hate like hell to have you as an enemy if you're supposed to be a friend of mine, because I stopped the pipeline, Nord Stream 2, going to take care of Germany and all of Europe. I ended it. And then what happened? Joe Biden comes in and he approved it. He approved their pipeline, but he closed down the Keystone pipeline. How do you like that one? And then they say, Trump loves Russia. No, I was the worst thing, and the sanctions I put on Russia, I was the worst thing that ever happened, but I did get along with Putin. That's a good thing. You know, getting along with these people is a good thing, not a bad thing. But we have nuclear powers. They're a nuclear power. We're a nuclear power. The problem is, we're nuclear powers. You have a number of countries that have massive nuclear capability, and we have a man that is unable to understand it or talk to people or know how to talk to people. If you look at his rhetoric before Russia going into Ukraine, you would say he's saying the exact opposite of what he should be saying. The exact opposite of what? And he has done a horrible job. He is the worst president in the history of our country. There has never been a president so bad. You know, just to go off for 1 second, I never spoke about him that way because I have too much respect for the office of the presidency. I have great respect for the office of the president. Thank you, darling. But I have great respect for the office of the president. Too much, maybe, when certain people are in there that shouldn't be in there. But I never spoke the way I spoke now. But when I got indicted over nothing, actually, if you think about it, over being right, I was right about that. The call to Zelensky was a perfect call. In fact, I respect Zelensky for saying that was an absolutely perfect call. There was no threat. There was no anything. Remember, quid pro quo, quid pro quo. They didn't know the tape was, the call was taped. Remember when Schiff went out 8 times quid pro quo? And then when they heard the tape, he just sort of disappeared for a little while. What a sleazebag that guy is. Shifty Adam Schiff. And he could end up being a senator. This guy is a disgrace. He's a disgrace. But you know what? I never spoke very badly. I never spoke like this. Now I say, but when that happened, and then again I get indicted on something else, and then I realize I've been indicted more than Alphonse Capone, and I say, oh my God. And other lawsuits, civil lawsuits, all worked out through this horrible group of people. But when I got indicted, just for the first time, I got indicted, and even the press said, he'll never be indicted. He'll never be indicted over January 6th because he never did. The press was saying that, and they indicted me. Then I said, okay, well, now I'm allowed to talk the facts. He is the worst and most incompetent and most corrupt president in history. The only one that loves him is Jimmy Carter, because Jimmy Carter's administration, by comparison, looks brilliant. It looks brilliant. Jimmy Carter had a brilliant administration compared to Biden. He's the most corrupt president, the most incompetent president ever. I would never have said that, even though it's true. But out of respect for the office, I would never talk that way. But now I do talk that way. He's a bad guy. He weaponized things. And he is a threat to democracy, not us. He is a threat. Thanks to Biden, we now have a new category of crime. It's called migrant crime. I actually added the word, I call it migrant. Do you see where they come into New York and they start fistfights with the cops? I've never seen that. You know, I've seen guys, but there's a little respect. We have great people in New York, and these guys actually are fighting them. They're fighting them on the streets. These are tough people that came in. These are people that came in from prisons. They came in from mental institutions, from all over the world. From Africa, yesterday the Congo was well represented. People coming out of prison from the Congo have come into our country. People coming from, think of it, people coming from all over Asia, from the Middle East, from South America, from Yemen. They come from Yemen. We're bombing Yemen. You know, here we go again with the bombs. Bombs, bombs, bombs. I could solve it all with a phone call, just a phone call, like I did with Macron of France. He was going to put a tax on. My people said, we'll never be able to stop it. I gave him a little chance, just a quick run on the story. Emmanuel Macron, head of France. And I said, get it stopped. They're putting a big tax on our companies. I said, get it stopped. And they came back and they said, we've been unable to do it. I said, I'll do it. And I called up Macron. Emmanuel, how are you? How are you? Oh, Donald, thank you so much. I am fine. I miss you so much. We must get together. I said, we will, but first we have to settle. You're putting a tax on our American companies, a very big tax. It's not fair, Emmanuel. Yes, but it has already passed. I am not able to do anything. I said, that's okay. Starting on Monday morning, every bottle of wine and champagne that comes into the United States is going to have a 100% tax or tariff put on it. No, Donald, you can't do that. I said, yes, I can. He goes, no way. I said, way. No way. And I said, here's the story. Call me back within 5 minutes. Let me know. He called me back in about 2 minutes. He said, we've decided not to place this tax on American companies. I did so much of that stuff, and I can't. It's so much. And I wish they were all recorded. I wish they were all recorded. I really do, because some of these conversations were classic. You would have seen what a great job we did. But you can do things that stupid people can't do. I mean, Biden doesn't think about, let's not bomb. Look, number one, you're killing a lot of people. Both sides, you're killing a lot of people. Each bomb costs approximately $1 million. Every time you see bomb all over the place, they're hitting the middle of the sand. They're all over the place. They don't know what they're. They have no idea what they're doing. It's $1 million every time you hear a noise. Bing, million, bing, 2 million, bing, 3. It's such a disgrace. And it was that way when I came into office. Think of it. I got rid of ISIS 100%. Got rid of the greatest terrorists in the world, Soleimani and al-Baghdadi, the greatest terrorists in the world. And we brought back our troops. We were pulling out of Afghanistan, but we were pulling out with dignity and strength, and we were going to be out. You know, they were there for 20 years, and the leader of the Taliban in Afghanistan, very tough guy, Abdul, I had a conversation because he was killing a lot of our people with sniper fire. During the Obama administration, really a lot. They were just shooting them out, and I had to talk. The press went crazy. They said, what are you talking to them for? Why would you be talking to the Taliban? I said, because that's where the problem is. Remember Jesse James, why do you rob banks? Because that's where the money is. It's the same thing. Why do you rob banks, Jesse? That's where the money is, you stupid fool. But that's where the problem was with the Taliban. And I spoke to him, Abdul, so nice to talk to you. Don't kill any more of our people. If you do, you will be met with force the likes of which you have never heard of or seen. You know, that from that point forward, and we had a very good, tough conversation. From that point forward, we didn't have one, and Biden admitted this, and the people actually said, don't admit that. From that point forward, we didn't have one soldier, person shot at or killed for 18 months. For 18 months. And then we had the rigged election, and then they said we're going to leave, and instead of taking the troops out last, they said let's take the troops out first, and all hell broke out. And that was the worst. Well, it was a surrender, essentially. There was no surrender. They were so afraid of us, they wouldn't do anything. They hated those F-16s that would go over. They hated it. They looked up, they said, get the hell out of here. Now they own the F-16s, you know. They own our military. $85 billion worth of equipment, 13 dead soldiers, 38 soldiers who have been just so badly hurt, no arms, no legs. The face was just so badly hurt, nobody's ever seen. 5 years ago, you couldn't have saved them. But, so, I mean, what they have to live through because of this. And we left a lot of people behind, too, Americans. We left a lot of Americans behind, all because of bad leadership. But if you ask that beautiful, probably 5 or 6 year old child right there, would you take the soldiers out first or last? He would say, sir, I would take the soldiers out last, These people took the military out first, and now everybody was defenseless. And I could just see Abdul. They go up to Abdul in his office. Abdul, Abdul, the Americans have left. No, you fool. Of course they haven't. No, no, Abdul. And I could just see this conversation. And then they send somebody out to check, and comes back, says, Abdul, he's right. The American soldiers have left. We were standing defenseless, and we didn't keep Bagram, one of the biggest military bases, one of the biggest, most powerful runways in length and in strength, 8 feet deep of concrete. We didn't keep it 1 hour away. Think of it, 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. We didn't keep it. In New York City, our police are being mobbed, brutalized, and horrifically beaten by swarms of migrants who have no business being in our country, yet then they are released back onto the streets while giving our police officers the middle finger. You saw that, right, the other day? These are people that come from countries, I guarantee you they wouldn't do that in their country. They wouldn't do that in their country. I know their countries. You do that in their country, they wouldn't be living for more than 5 minutes. This month, a savage illegal alien criminal pulled out a gun and shot a 38-year-old female tourist in the middle of Times Square. He then went on to later shoot a New York Police Department officer near Radio City Music Hall. He was found to have been living in a Biden migrant shelter, which, by the way, used to be occupied by veterans. They were all thrown out so that the migrants could get a place to live. What they've done to our veterans is unbelievable. Where he also committed armed robbery in the Bronx and then shot someone else before being brutally apprehended. He caused tremendous damage to our police. In Chicago, violent crime arrests of Biden migrants, I have to say that, Biden migrants and its Biden migrant crime have exploded by 11,000%. 11,000%. That's over a 3-year period, 11,000. We have migrant crime. Add that onto the list. And it's among the worst, most heinous crime there is. These are tough people. These are people that have come out of those jails. They've come out of mental institutions. Just last weekend, a band of 4 illegal alien thugs were arrested in Chicago after they approached a man in a subway car in the middle of the afternoon, robbed him, and viciously tried to strangle him. And they also were later tracked down at a migrant shelter that used to be occupied by military. On day 1, I will seal the border, stop the invasion, and send Joe Biden's illegal aliens back home. I will terminate every open borders policy of the Biden administration, and we will begin the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. We will restore law and order in our country. I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical, out-of-control prosecutor for their illegal, racist, and reverse enforcement of the law. It's horrible what's going on with law enforcement. I'm also going to indemnify all police officers and law enforcement officials throughout the United States to protect them from being destroyed by the radical left for taking strong actions on crime. And we are going to rebuild our cities into beacons of hope, safety, and beauty better than they have ever been before. We will take over the horribly run capital of our nation, Washington, D.C., and clean it up, renovate it, and rebuild our capital city. Though, have you seen what's been happening? Have you seen people being murdered? They come from South Carolina to go for a nice visit, and they end up being murdered, shot, mugged, beat up. Those beautiful marble columns have graffiti. The roads are broken. The medians between the roads are falling into the street. You can imagine what foreign dignitaries and people from foreign countries say. On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto our children. And I will not give one penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or mask mandate. And something I find hard to believe that I even have to say, I will keep men out of women's sports. And I will fully uphold the Second Amendment. We will protect innocent life. And we will restore free speech. So importantly, we have to secure our elections. Our goal will be one-day voting with paper ballots and voter ID. But until then, Republicans must win elections. If you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of the United States and added them up, they would not have done near the destruction to our country as Joe Biden and the Biden administration has done. So if you want to save America, then you must go and vote, right? You're going to vote? Remember, the primary is tomorrow, Saturday, February 24th. It's a very big one. The whole world is watching. We have to show big numbers. You have to get out and vote. We're going to win it. We're going to win it big. We have to win it by margins never seen before. Bring everyone that you know. Details are, if you want, sc.donaldjtrump.com. They'll give you any information you want. So in conclusion, together we are taking on some of the most menacing forces and vicious opponents our people have ever seen. But no matter how hateful and corrupt the communists and criminals we're fighting are, you must never forget this nation does not belong to them. This nation belongs to you. This is your home, this is your heritage, and our American liberty is your God-given right. So from Columbia to Clemson, from Greenville to Charleston, from Myrtle Beach to Rock Hill, we stand on the shoulders of South Carolina heroes who crossed the ocean, settled the continent, tamed the wilderness, and laid down the railroads, raised up those great skyscrapers, won 2 world wars, defeated fascism and communism, and made America the single greatest nation in the history of the world. But now, we are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. We are a nation that has the highest inflation in 50 years, where banks are collapsing and interest rates are skyrocketing. Likewise, we are a nation where energy costs have reached the highest levels in our history. We are no longer energy independent or energy dominant as we were just a few short years ago. We are a nation that is begging Venezuela for oil. Please, please, please help us, Joe Biden says. Yet we have more liquid gold under our feet than any other nation anywhere in the world. We are a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will be reducing their oil production, while at the same time substantially increasing the price. And we met that threat by announcing that we will no longer be drilling for oil in large areas of Alaska and elsewhere on our beautiful lands. We are a nation that is consumed by the radical left's Green New Deal, yet everyone knows that the Green New scam is fake and will lead to our destruction. We are a nation whose leaders are demanding all electric cars, despite the fact that they don't go far, cost too much, and whose batteries are produced in China with materials only available in China, when an unlimited amount of gasoline is available inexpensively in the United States, but not available in China. And now we are a nation that wants to make our revered and very powerful army tanks the best anywhere in the world, all electric, so that despite the fact that they are also not able to go far, fewer pollutants will be released into the air as we blast our way through enemy territory in an environmentally friendly way. And they also want to make our fighter jets with a green stamp of energy savings, though losing 15% efficiency, but allowing us to keep our enemy's atmosphere clean of emissions as we viciously and unceremoniously attack them at levels never seen before. Who are these people that would do this to us? We are these people. We are these people. We are being led by fools. We are being led by stupid, stupid representatives, and we cannot allow it to continue. We are a nation that ended oil exploration and production in the United States just as the price of oil reached an all-time high. What other countries would do such a foolish and self-destructive thing? Who would do this to us? Who are these leaders? Who are these fools? Can we be energy independent and even dominant again? Yes, oh yes, and quickly, says President Trump. Yes, oh yes, and very quickly. We are a nation that surrendered in Afghanistan, leaving dead soldiers, American citizens, and $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment in the world, and also abandoning Bagram, one of the biggest military bases, only 1 hour away from where China makes those vicious and hateful nuclear weapons. We are a nation that allowed Russia and Ukraine to fight, killing hundreds of thousands of people, and it will only get worse. It would never have happened with me as your president, and for 4 straight years, it didn't happen. Likewise, the horrifying attack on Israel would never have happened. They wouldn't even have thought of doing such a thing if President Trump was in the Oval Office. Iran was broke under the Trump administration. Iran was broke. They didn't have the money to fund Hamas, Hezbollah, and all of the other instruments of terror. But those sanctions were lifted by a corrupt Biden administration, and now Iran is a rich country again with $200 billion and another $6 billion for hostages and $10 billion for electricity to Iraq. All compliments of the incompetent Biden administration. And China with Taiwan is next. We are a nation that allows radical left terrorists to violently attack our cities, leaving behind massive destruction and death, and nothing happens to the criminals that do these terrible things. There is no punishment, but when people who love our country protest on January 6th in Washington, they become hostages unfairly imprisoned for long periods of time. We are a third world nation that has weaponized its law enforcement against the opposing political party like never, ever before. We've got a Federal Bureau of Investigation that won't allow bad election-changing facts to be presented to the public, and which offers $1 million to a writer of fiction about Donald Trump to lie and say it was fact, where Hunter Biden's laptop from hell was Russian disinformation, and the FBI knew it wasn't, but 51 intelligence agents said it was, and a Department of Justice that refuses to investigate egregious acts of voting irregularities and frauds. And we have a man who is totally corrupt, and the worst president in the history of our country, who is cognitively impaired and in no condition to lead, and is now in charge of dealing with Russia and possible nuclear war, which would be World War III and far more devastating than any of the previous world wars because of the weaponry that no one even wants to talk about or to think about. We are a nation that no longer has a free and fair press. Fake news is all you get, and they are indeed the enemy of the people. They refuse, as everybody knows, to even discuss the Biden crime family, but enjoy covering the false indictments of Donald J. Trump, who has done nothing wrong except win an election that was supposedly unwinnable. We are a nation where free speech is no longer allowed, where crime is rampant and out of control like never before. We are a nation that is allowing Iran to build a massive nuclear weapon and China to use the trillions and trillions of dollars it has taken from us to build a military to rival our own. And less than 3 years ago, we had Iran, China, Russia, and North Korea in check. They respected us. They were afraid of us. They weren't going to do a thing against us, and everyone knows it. Now Russia and China are holding summits to carve up the rest of the world. And perhaps most importantly, we are a nation that is no longer admired, respected, or listened to on the world stage. They are no longer respected. Nobody wants to listen. We are a nation that in many ways has become a joke. And we are a nation that is hostile to liberty, freedom, faith, and even hostile to God. We are a nation whose economy is collapsing into a cesspool of ruin, whose supply chain is broken, whose stores are not stocked, whose deliveries are not coming, and whose educational system is ranked at the very bottom of every single list. We are a nation that just sold a once great company, United States Steel, to Japan, and we are a nation whose stock market's continued success is totally contingent on MAGA winning the next election. We are a nation where large packs of sadistic criminals and thieves are allowed to go into stores and openly rob them, beat up and kill their workers and customers, and leave with armloads of goods, but with no retribution, where the authority of our great police has been taken, where their families and pensions have been threatened, and their lives would be destroyed for the mere mention of the words law enforcement. We are a nation where fentanyl and other forms of illegal drugs are easier to get than groceries to feed our beautiful families. We have become a drug-infested nation, crime-ridden nation, which is incapable of solving even the smallest and simplest of problems. We can't solve anything. We will institute the powerful death penalty for drug dealers, where each dealer is responsible for the death during their lives of 500 people or more. Mothers will never again be forced to watch their children overdosing and hopelessly dying in their arms, screaming, "What can I do? What can I do? My child is dying." We're a nation whose once revered airports are dirty. They're a crowded mess. You sit and wait for hours and then are notified that the plane won't leave and that they have no idea when it will. Where ticket prices have tripled. They don't have the pilots to fly the planes. They don't see qualified air traffic controllers, and they just don't know what the hell they're doing. We are a nation that screens its citizens viciously at all ports, but if you're an illegal alien, you're allowed to flow through by the millions and millions and millions. We are a nation that has lost its confidence, willpower, and strength. We are a nation that has lost its way, but we are not going to allow this horror to continue any longer. 3 years ago, we were a great nation, and we will soon be a great nation again. It was the hard-working patriots like you who built this country, and it's the hard-working patriots like you who are going to save our country. We will fight for America like no one has ever fought before. 2024 is our final battle. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers from our government. We will drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists, Marxists, and fascists. And we will throw off the sick political class that hates our country. We will rout the fake news media. We will drain the swamp. And we will liberate our country from these tyrants and villains once and for all. Like those patriots before us, we will not bend, we will not break, we will not yield, we will never give in, we will never give up, we will never, ever back down with your support. We will go on to victory, the likes of which no one has ever seen before. We will evict crooked Joe Biden from the White House, and we will take back our country on November 5th, 2024. The great silent majority is rising like never before, and under our leadership, the forgotten man and woman will be forgotten no longer. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. We are a movement the likes of which this country and perhaps the world has never seen before. There has never been anything like this. And together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much, South Carolina. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.
shoes. I said I was down and out with the blues. I felt no man cared if I were alive. I felt the whole world was so tired. That's when someone came up to me and said, young man, take a walk up the street. It's a place there called the YMCA. They can start you back on your way. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. They have everything but the mental joy. You can hang out with all the boys. YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. Young man, there's no need to feel down. Young man, pick yourself off the ground. YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. Young man, are you listening to me? Young man, what do you wanna be? YMCA. You'll find it at the YMCA. No man, does it all by himself. Young man, put your pride on the shelf. YMCA. And just go to the YMCA. Young man, I was once in your shoes. Young man, I was down with the blues. Body, wanna feel my body, baby. Such a thrill, my body, yeah. Wanna touch my body, baby. It's too much, not too much, my body, yeah. Check it out, my body, baby.